that, New York Magazine voted me as one of the most 100 smartest people in New York. However, in all fairness, I have to say that Madonna also made that same list. So, how accurate could that list be? Now, today I'm going to talk about the future, 20, 30, 40 years into the future. I've had the privilege to interview 300 of the world's top scientists. Now, I'm a physicist. We're the ones who invented the laser. We invented the transistor. We created the electronic computer. We created television, radio, microwaves, MRI. We created the internet. We wrote the World Wide Web. And whenever we create something, we predict how our creation is going to proliferate through society. When we helped to invent the internet, one physicist made a prediction. He said that the internet will become a forum of high culture, high art, and high society. Well, today we know that 5% of the internet is pornography. But that's because teenage boys log on to the internet, not anyone here. Just wait till the grandmas and grandpas log on to the internet. Then 50% of the internet will be pornography. Let me also say that when I was just a little bit younger than you guys, I was fascinated by physics. For me, physics was the way to go. So when I was in high school, I went into my mom and I said, "Mom, can I have permission to build an atom smasher in the garage? A 2.3 million electron volt electron particle accelerator." And my mom looked at me and said, "Sure, why not? And don't forget to take out the garbage." So I took out the garbage and I went to Westinghouse and I got 400 pounds of transformer steel, 22 miles of copper wire, and I built a 2.3 million electron volt electron accelerator in my garage. The magnetic field was 10,000 Gauss. If you walked by the magnets, it was powerful enough to pull the fillings out of your teeth if you got too close to my magnets. Finally, it was ready. I plugged it into the wall socket. It consumed 6 kilowatts of raw electrical power. I can hear the crackling of all the capacitors. And then I heard this pop, pop, pop sound, and the whole house was plunged in darkness. I had blown out every single fuse in the house. My poor mom, she'd come home from a hard day's work, the lights would flicker and die. And then she'd say, "Where's the fuse box?" And then she'd say, "Why couldn't I have a son who plays baseball? Maybe if I buy him a basketball. And for God's sake, why does he have to build these machines in the garage? And hey, why can't he find a nice Japanese girlfriend? I mean, why does he build these machines in the garage?" Well, that machine got me into Harvard and began my career as a physicist. So today, I'm going to give you a guided tour of the future. However, there's a danger that sometimes we physicists know too much. Let me tell you a story and then I'll begin. Over 200 years ago, we had the great French Revolution. And one day, there were 3 gentlemen about to lose their head to the guillotine. There was a priest, a lawyer, and a theoretical physicist, just like me, about to have our heads cut off. Well, they put the priest's head on the chopping block. And they asked him, "Do you have any last words before we cut your priestly head off?" And the priest said, "Yes, yes." He said, God from above, he shall certainly set me free." Well, all eyes were on the blade. They raised the blade. The blade came down, swish, and it stopped right before it hit the neck of the priest. Well, the mob had never seen this before. They were shocked. They said, "God has spoken. Let the priest go." And now let's see about the lawyer. Yes, the lawyer. Now the bloodlust was starting. Yes, the lawyer. They put the lawyer's head on the chopping block and they asked him, "Do you have any last words before we cut your lawyerly head off?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "Maybe the spirit of justice. Yes, justice and mercy. She shall set me free." Well, they raised the blade. The blade came down, swish, and it stopped right before it hit the neck of the lawyer. Well, this time the crowd went crazy. They said, "Let there be a national holiday. Today, God has spoken. Justice, mercy have spoken today." And now let's see about that theoretical physicist. Well, they put the physicist's head on the chopping block and they asked him, "Do you have any last words before we cut your head off?" And he said, Yeah, I got some last words. And he said, I don't know too much about God. And I know even less about the law. But I do know one thing. If you look up, you'll see that the rope is stuck on the pulley. And then he said, if you remove the rope, the blade should come down real good. Big mistake. Big mistake. Well, the rope came down, the blade came down, and the poor physicist's head came down. And the moral of the story is, sometimes we physicists have to know when to keep our mouths shut. Okay?